Hello, Dylan here, and this is a different, interesting kind of video that I've decided to do, where I come from. Well, I also do some research, but I come from where I am with autism, and I see if I can find any anime characters that kind of show some of the characteristics that are in the autism spectrum. And for I don't know if this could be a series or not, but maybe just a one-off video because doing research on the character, trying to find the characters was pretty challenging on finding because I kept getting a lot of the same. Well, one of these I kept getting the same person, and they're all in thumbnail, so you know who they are. L. Lolly L from Death Note. Sousuke Sagara from Fullmetal Panic, and Haruhi Suzumiya from Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Now, two of those I am like more 95% sure of the autism. Sousuke, that's kind of like 50-50 because it can be debunked pretty easily because of his background. But let's go ahead and get started with some of these characteristics for L. One of the farther I go down the list here I have, there are things that are more noticeable, but there are things that are not as noticeable for him, like his difficulty in understanding like jokes or figures of speech or even sarcasm, which I'm pretty sure I've seen quite a few times in the anime of him not understanding a joke that someone says, or the fact that it's like a bit like a metaphor or stuff like that. And is there? Okay, no. I was seeing if the other two had this on their part list that I put here. And no. Well, actually, Sousuke kind of has some of that as well. He doesn't understand the jokes or figures of speech, or if someone's being sarcastic, he might take it literally because he's been. But that could also again be debunked because he's been in the military since he was very young because he was an orphan. And then again, so was L, but he was in an orphanage though. This next one, L, he kind of avoids answering questions that are about himself, and all of these things I'm talking about are all characteristics of autism that I have seen in these characters. And he never talks about his past life, but that's also, again, that could be debunked by him not want his secret actual identity to be found, so he could eventually get killed. But he also doesn't really he doesn't do it for anyone. He doesn't tell his name to anyone except Watery, who actually knows L. Any other? Okay, no. He also makes honest observations, even though they could be inappropriate observations. Like, for example, when was it? Whenever they were spying on Light, and he kind of made an inappropriate observation about Light having those porn magazines and all that kind of stuff. Yes, it's an observation, and it's an honest observation, but it's kind of inappropriate for him to make that observation considering Light's dad is right next to him. I don't remember if he said it or if Light's father said, but okay. Oh, this is a big one for L. Is that he prefers to be alone a lot. He's always in hiding all the time. No, because no one knew his identity until this case, and he was kind of forced to break out of that so he can find Kira. But even then, he kind of still prefers to be alone. Now that might get debunked. Anyway. Is that the only... Okay, only him. Oh yeah, how he talks. His speech can be normally loud or quiet. For him, this was a 50-50 of putting this on here. Because he does talk normally, but he can talk too loud or too quietly at some points throughout the anime. And I'm just pointing out this list. I'm not trying to think of examples right now in this video. Oh, this one is for probably all three of them. L, Sousuke, and Haruhi may have a very high vocabulary. And that is definitely for all three of them. But again, for Sousuke, it could be because he learned that vocabulary because of how he was raised in the military. For L, he was kind of a prodigy he was a prodigy for being a detective, so that could fit in with autism for him easily. For Haruhi, she sort of has a high vocabulary when it comes to like supernatural stuff and all that. Well, of course, in the anime, she's considered a god. But anyway, next is obsessions with objects, ideas, or desires. Now for L, this is a perfect L and maybe it's Sousuke. Now Haruhi. For L and Haruhi, they both have an obsession with something. For L, it's not being a detective, but more of finding justice and that kind of stuff. For Haruhi, it's painfully obvious of what her obsession is, and that's supernatural, all that. Well, what did I put down? Obsessions. Oh, I didn't put it down, but her obsessions of what? Supernatural and those kind of things, aliens. Like, she has a huge obsession with that she can't, like, put down. And that's painfully obvious. That's a big, well, not big, that is a good characteristic for autism. But that also could be OCD as well. But then again, I could be spelling bullshit about that. But because I don't know as much about OCD as I do about autism, then again, I learned some stuff while researching this for autism that I didn't even know about, even though I am autistic. Anyway, this one kind of goes together with like OCD. This one I know because it's ritualistic or compulsive behavior patterns, such as stacking objects like sugar cubes or those creamer cups and such, that he often does in the anime. That is a big sign for autism and OCD and that kind of stuff. I think, yeah, Haruhi, yeah, I put here that Haruhi even has ritualistic or what is it, compulsive behavior patterns for her, because she's kind of like out there whenever she's trying to do stuff. Like she's very compulsive about doing her things her way, and she doesn't she's very compulsive about wanting to do these things and kind of forcing people to do it with her, like Kyon and all of them. Man, I haven't watched Haruhi in forever. Frustration is expressed in unusual ways. That one was kind of like a maybe put on there for him, because you rarely see L get frustrated. And I think I put it. Did I put it? No, I did not put it for. I did not put it for Haruhi or Sousuke. Yeah, I only put it for L because frustration that happens to him is if he loses to Kira and there's a mental battle between them. And there's these, I don't know, I'm trying to, and I don't know of a perfect example in the anime that shows this, but he definitely doesn't seem to show his frustration like other people do. Like some people, even if they're able to hide their frustration, at some point they'll just be able to should be showing that frustration one way or another. But he rarely shows his frustration at all when he does. If he even gets frustrated at all when he loses against Kira. Oh, this one's definitely something for him. Feeling the need to fix or rearrange things. That's a huge one for L, because it's obvious that he, just like that other one with the compulsive behavior patterns, or ritualistic behavior patterns, he tends to always be doing something like stacking sugar cubes or stacking those camera cups, or doing something with like the sweets. He's always doing something like that a lot during the anime. And those are always signs of stuff like autism and OCD. Verbal outbursts. There was only really one time he had a verbal outburst, really, and that was from the whenever he saw that, what was it? The fake Kira message about Shinigami, and then he just freaked out all of a sudden. Like everyone else was like, "What, Shinigami?" But he just freaked the frick out. Just fell out of his chair and was like shaking and like, "They're real?" Like that is not an L type. Like you don't ever see him like that. And even all the others were reacting like, what the hell happened to him? What's going on with him right now? Like, that is definitely a characteristic of autism for L. The others, they don't really have verbal outbursts, except Haruhi. She does like inappropriate verbal outbursts that that's obviously she does that all the time throughout the anime. And she doesn't even, she doesn't not do it to get attention. She does it because she just wants to. I don't know why she does it. Again, that's the point. That's kind of the thing with autism. Some of us don't know why we do stuff like this. We just do it. That's just how our brains are at. Or as what my psychiatrist once said, that's how our brains are wired for these type of kind of weird situations that we end up creating or doing or stuff like that. And next is exceptionally high skills in some areas and very low in others. This one's harder to put for this, but talking. Okay. Exceptionally high skills in some areas, very low in others. That has to do more. Did I put it for him? I put it for L, Sousuke. Did I put for Haruhi? No, I didn't. Just L and Sousuke because they have these good skills in these certain areas. Like Sousuke is like, oh yeah. Sousuke is like because he's been in again, could be debunked because he's been in the military for so long. And for L, it's the detective work, but he was always considered a prodigy, so that's why it's more autistic for him than it would be for Sousuke. Keep debunking everything for Sousuke. But for L, it's more because, but yeah, like I said, he's a prodigy with being a detective, more prone to know these specific details when it comes to detective work. Hell, he figured out something that was supernatural, like the Death Note, in some way. No detective now would be able to even think that something like this would happen. But it's the very low in others that is another thing, because he's good. This is kind of like the stigma with autism, and that they're always so hot. They're always so intellectual. That's like a stereotypical thing for that, is that they're very intelligent, but their social skills are like very like down. But that's not always the case. Not everyone with autism is as intelligent as people make them out to be. Yes, there are some that are like that, but that's not everyone. Should just put them all that, oh, they're so intelligent. Yes, they should all just go out. I don't know what I'm saying. But okay, now it's turning into a PSA for that. Don't assume that every person that's autistic is intelligent. Look at me. I am not the smartest person in the world. I'm autistic. That already debunks the whole thing. Yes, I may have gotten good grades before, but just because I got good grades in, like, say, high school, doesn't mean jack shit. Because it's high school. People can get good grades for just doing nothing. That's basically high school. And yes, that is a problem in the U.S. Oh no, don't go into politics. No, stay away from politics. Okay, try and keep politics out of this whole channel. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that despite the whole stigma of that, don't always. I mean, treat people with autism nicely, but don't assume that that they're just going to be ruling the world because they're the most intelligent person out there. Just don't. Just learn more about autism, not just from this video. Also, I do have the link to where I researched all the characteristics. I'll have that in the description if you want to go take a look. These are obviously not all of them. There's a shit ton of them. Alright, might as well, gotta continue. Okay, this is the big one that everyone always points out. Odd and unnatural posture, which, yes, is a sign and characteristic of autism. And obviously that is for L, because of the way he always sits. And he says that it increases his brain power by 40% and all that stuff. But it might be just the fact that he can't help but be like that whenever he sits down. Some of these characteristics can also be applied to, who was it? Near? The prodigy of the detective prodigy, as he is sometimes known as. So yeah, some of these things can be taken to L and also to near from there as well. No, I did not put that for any of the, so that was just for L. And right now, I'm going on to the list I have for Sousuke, minus the ones I've already talked about. And I do have put on here, possibly just because he was in the military at such a young age and that was how he grew up, blah, blah, blah. The fact that this one first, again, is just because of the military, probably just because of the military. Doesn't understand social life outside of the military because that was his environment, the nature versus nurture. That's where he was nurtured. Is that right? Nature versus nurture. Nature would be genetics. Nurture would be the environment. Okay. Well, whichever one it is for the environment that they've been living in, which is for him the military force. But it can also be part of the autism spectrum that no one knew about for him. He finds it easier to socialize with people that are older rather than, the official thing is older or younger. I highly doubt younger for him, but older rather than the peers of their own age, and that is shown throughout the entire show. Because he's, 16, 17, 18, somewhere around that age. I don't remember. And you see him with, his companions from the military who are probably, in their early 20s to 30s and such. I don't know how old they are, but he gets along with them better because, one, he's known them for a long time, and the fact that they understand him in his stiff soldier kind of mode that he always is always in, versus say whenever he gets transferred to, I forgot the name of the school, but to the high school where Kaname lives. I know two names of that. One's a guy and one's her. Kaname, where it's plainly obvious he has no idea what he's doing whenever he's interacting with any of them, especially Kaname. But of course, the whole romance thing of he saves her all the time and blah blah blah. But it'd also be debunked of him just trying to do his job and all that kind of stuff. But he doesn't know how to socialize with people that are his own age in a high school because he's been in the military for so long. He doesn't know how to interact like normal people do. I don't like using term normal because, one, normal is boring. But anyway, moving on. Where was I? Disinterested in what is going on around them. That is definitely him. Let's see, do I have anything put here? I feel like I should have put that for Haruhi as well, but yeah. Disinterested in what is going on around them, or for Sousuke. Because he's, well, again, can be debunked because he's focusing solely on his mission of trying to protect Kaname and trying to make sure she's safe and protected and no dangers come to her and all that kind of stuff. But it's also a big characteristic for autism as well, not understanding what's going on in that current environment that they're in. Of course, he did. Like in a way, it can be debunked. Is that later he does pay more attention, but that also can be part of him learning. Like for people with autism, learning how, like, to pay attention to what is going on around them and such. Oh, this one's funny. Oh, good. Often uses short, incomplete sentences. And again, most of these are going to be debunked by the friggin' military thing. Because that's how he was raised up, of being like precise with everything he's saying, like short, because they have to be like short sentences, short incomplete sentences, to just be like, okay, go there, okay, do this, do that, do this, do that, because that's how it was in the military. Because it's got to be like fast acting, otherwise you're dead, kind of thing. Whenever there's like a war or anything, they got to know, they got to be quick about making these decisions and speaking these decisions. So that could be from that, but also from autism, because that's how some people with autism are like. They just like I just said, like I just did. It didn't complete the sentence, but for autism, it's slightly different, because for some of us, we're just trying to think of what to say at that moment. And that's how some of these videos for me are, because I'm trying to think. That's why I have a goddamn list over here, because I can forget stuff. And before I always had scripts that I would just read out, and that just seemed boring even to me. But it helped me with figuring out what to say for the video. Anyway, I'm going into me now. Damn it. Anyway, was that for anyone else? I don't think so. Okay. Next is perfectionism in certain areas. And again, this stupid freaking the military crap again. But actually, no, that doesn't have to be with military all the time, because not everyone in the military ends up being a perfectionist when it comes to stuff. But Sousuke seems to be a perfectionist whenever he's trying to do something. Again, his whole goal of protecting Kaname, with always watching her, even though it's creepy, but it's always watching her at her house, through the windows of the school, or just keeping an eye on her. Like, that's his perfectionist mind of like, okay, I gotta keep my eye on her so I can so no dangers happen. Or I don't know, this one's probably this one's like a 50-50 one I put on there, I think. All right, this next, now we're going to Haruhi Suzumiya, who between all three, I think Haruhi is more autistic than the others, because there's a lot I put for Haruhi on here. And an obvious one is that she's overly friendly with the people around her. Like, she gives two fricks. Censor myself a little bit. She doesn't care what they're thinking. But she wants to be friendly with them. I forgot her name. The other girl in there that she constantly sort of molest. Not really molest, but sort of. I don't know. But she is constantly friendly with everyone that's like in that club, and she's overly friendly with people trying to get people into the club. Like, she doesn't care what people thought of her whenever she was trying to do that. But because of that, that also would cause a difficulty of maintaining her friendships, which is the next point. And that was obvious with, like, very beginning. She wasn't doing anything for some, like, yeah, she was overly friendly, but that can also keep people away from, like, try to like distance themselves away from her, because they're like, okay, we had enough of this clingy kind of just like stuff. Like, they just want to leave. And I think I may have mentioned something like this that when she was in middle school, something like that. This one's a ringer for her. Talks excessively about one or two topics. That's the point of her character. She always talks so much about the supernatural and aliens and espers and all of this stuff that she always is trying to find. That's literally a description for her. But it's also a big characteristic for autism. So that's another big reason why I think she's one of the more autistic of these three. And overly trusting. She's definitely overly trusting when it comes to like Kyon and giving him tasks to do, hoping that he'd do it just for her. And I mean, he does do it for her, but she kind of puts a lot of trust in him for a lot of things. So she's kind of overly trusting with him. And stuff like that can hurt whenever the person that they're trusting breaks that trust. Even if it was an accident, they might just the person might just break down because they broke that trust that they were willingly giving. But then they rebound and then go back to trusting them again. And then people can take advantage of that by making them trust her and then just like bullying her. But then she would keep trusting them, and then like back and forth. So that's a big danger with autistic people, because, and trust me, I am not. But that one does not affect me at all. I am not overly trusting at all. But right, minimal acknowledgement of others. That kind of goes for her. Whenever, like before, she's talking about a topic, she doesn't really care about what the others are thinking. she just wants to keep talking about it, and she wants to do these things, even with the others being like, why do you want us to do this? No, we don't want to do this. But she's like, I don't care. We are doing it. I don't care. I'm club president. We are doing this right now. Wait, was she club president? I think she was. Anyway, the point is, she kind of ignores what other people are thinking when it comes to this. Like whenever she brought, I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. The big boobed girl from the club that she just brings in. She literally drags her in there. It's like, you're joining this club right now. I don't care what you say. You're joining this club right now, even though she ended up joining the club. She was kind of forced into the club by her, so she didn't give two shits about whether she actually wanted to join the club or not. She was like, I want you to join. You're going to join right now. That kind of stuff. And that is definitely a sign for autism. Speeches I've normally, I already talked about that, the normally loud or quiet, that was an obvious thing. Difficulty whispering, that goes with that abnormally loud thing, where she can't really keep herself toned down that much unless she's like, ends up really depressed, which can make it very noticeable when they get depressed. And that's just how she is. She's always overly loud, but it makes it a good sign to know when someone that is autistic, depressed, whenever they just start being quiet and whispering, like if they're like that, like if they're just always quiet all of a sudden and they're just whispering all the time, and if they're like that, then that's an obvious sign that they could be depressed or something is upsetting them. But that's only if they're like Haruhi and they're like always loud and obnoxious and that kind of stuff. I talked about the high vocabulary, obsessions with objects, ideas. I already talked about that. Ritualistic, yes, talked about that. Inability to perceive potentially dangerous situations. That is definitely a good one to think of, because I've actually had this problem with me when I was younger, that like we would be coming home, we would be coming out of a store, going to the car. It would be like there'd be the parking lot lane there, and there'd be this one here, and we're over here, the car would be over here, and I would just run across without thinking once or twice. I've done it a few times about whether a car was even coming or not. And a couple times I almost actually got hit by a car because of this. And my mom was both worried and mad at me whenever I did that. And I know it's stupid to laugh at about something about, oh hey, I almost got injured. I got hit by a car once or twice. And the fact that it was my fault with this. Yeah. Yeah, but back to Haruhi about this. This definitely applies to her because she wants to do all these crazy things, and some of them could be potentially dangerous. I don't know which one, but I feel like there was one that was potentially dangerous or harmful for either her or someone else. But I already talked about verbal outbursts with her. Unexpected movements. What was that one for? I don't remember what that one. I think that one's like a 50-50 because she does some unexpected stuff, but I forgot what the unexpected movements were. and I looked him up. I should have put more on there. Anyway, after that is short attention span for most lessons, which kind of applies to her when it comes to like her schoolwork, I guess, because she's more because she doesn't seem to care about the lessons. Like, she cares more about what she wants, about all the stuff that she wants. And I know I'm not the best person to be talking about all about this autism stuff, even though I am autistic. But it's just something. This is just something I felt like doing. Oh, I have one more here. Resistance or inability to follow directions. Oh, that definitely goes back to the potentially dangerous situation thing. Because she, like, or what was it? Or was it minimal acknowledgement of others? Yeah. So yeah, if she doesn't want to do something, she's not going to do it. And if she wants to do something, she's not going to care if all the others in the club say no. She's going to make them do it. So that's a another definite sign for autism as well. Anyway, I think, yeah, that's all I have for that. Anyway, if you got fired up during this video, why not consider subscribing for some more content. I do videos every Monday, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.